Even after understanding I am consciousness, I forget it. Let me, yeah. So, we intellectually understand I am pure consciousness of the nature of peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom, and still I forget it. Even after understanding I am happiness, it seems that it does not work. So the first reason I am not a seeker. No, but that is, you are taking an excuse. You may say me. We can reason out. Even though it is a wrong reason, the master says we don't create a faith. We need not to create a faith. We just shift our existing faith to a higher level. And that is not happening. It is because of the impurity, ignorance, and the wandering mind. What do you mean by it? Simple meaning. Very simple meaning. Let me give you an example. The criminal has faith in his capacity to prosper by stealing. So if he exchanges his faith in stealing for faith in his ability to earn an honest living, I'm not saying to have a faith. Don't believe me. What I said, you exchange the faith. I have a faith outside in the world. So can I exchange this faith inside me? Another part that you need to understand and keep in your mind all the time. We don't say blind faith. We say every statement must complement reason. And my faith should understand the limitations of a reason. And when that happens, limitations of a reason, then what happens? The shell of the ego breaks down and you enter into the higher consciousness. When? Here and now. We are non-dual unitary consciousness that is unchanging. Now, based on that, faith should complement the reason. And what I said, the faith should understand the limitations of a reason. So we are one consciousness, is one non-dual, unchanging. And that consciousness illuminates the entire world. Reflection, there is a reflection in the changing objects. Now, I picked up another, so to say, topic. Consciousness reflects, light reflects, which I see it. So I'm saying you shift your Shift your faith in this light to deeper insight to that consciousness. That consciousness reflects in constantly changing objects. Light is there, reflects on the wall, reflects on the computer. Oh, the same consciousness, the same, the way the sun, the way the sun reflects, the way the sun reflects in many objects. Are you getting it? Say yes. As the sun reflects in a dirty pond, the sun also reflects in a clean water pot. Consciousness reflects everywhere in pure action, inert mind, crazy mind. Consciousness also reflects in crazy mind, lazy mind, peaceful mind. That is how you say, I'm angry. Consciousness is reflecting. Then what is the problem? Problem is that, I claim myself that I'm angry. I'm happy because of something happened outside. I'm unhappy because something happened outside. Changing appears as unchanging. I'm just giving you some summary of a couple of the sessions we have had last week. We are consciousness. We are not able to shift our conscious. We are not able to shift our faith from the world outside to inside. That is where I started. Second is that the consciousness reflects in a constantly changing objects, like the sun reflects. So the sun reflects in a dirty pond and also reflects in a clean pot. So when consciousness reflects in a dirty pond, then I say I am stressed, I am angry, I am upset. When it reflects in a clean pot, then I see that I am in peace and happiness. So then the master challenges our reasoning. It says changing appears as unchanging. Now that consciousness identifies with my anger, and then it says that I'm angry, I'm unhappy. It is happening because of the mind. It is not happening because of me. I'm only one subject. Morning I'm angry and in the afternoon I'm happy. I cannot be two. It is happening because of the mind. It is not happening because of my real self and the consciousness. I'm only one subject. Consciousness is only one subject, unaffected witness of changing objects. The way the light is unaffected by anything, whether you keep in this room or you throw up. Light does not change. Say it the same way. That subject is me, that I am. Consciousness remains untouched by changing circumstances, objects, people, things. I am consciousness. I'm not husband. But don't tell your wife. This is for you. But if your focus is still outside, what will happen? Look at my parents are crazy. My son is crazy. You're gone. So this journey is for a very, very higher level of a seeker. Consciousness remains untouched by changing circumstances. I am consciousness, not husband, wife, teacher, seekers, crazy, lazy, fat, thin, poor, rich, good, bad. I'm none of them. Object knowledge happens in the subject consciousness. That is what we discussed last time. I believe you might have heard it a couple of times. Object knowledge of an object is taking place in the consciousness here. It is not happening in the mouse. If I say that I know the mouse, all experiences are taking place in the consciousness. So when I say I have an experience of the mouse, I have an experience of the Sam, it means what I'm doing, I made that object is a subjective experience, but all my experience is objectless. That is why we say mindfulness is nothing but the emptiness and nothingness. You have to contemplate and reflect. And then you see all experiences are objectless, anchored in the consciousness. True objects keep changing. Because objects keep changing, so it says that my experiences are changing. I only experience consciousness, nothing else. Consciousness alone shines and is unfettered by whatever arises within it. You see, this session appears in that consciousness. So this session is going to come to an end. Another activity will start. That activity appears in the consciousness. That will also come to an end. Third activity, I will go for a breakfast. That is third activity. Fourth activity. So, oh, yeah. So the activities, all the actions, it is happening in the mind, not in me. I'm still objectless. I'm still empty. When? Even when I'm speaking to you. How can you say, yes, I have already said it? That experience is always objectless. Because the moment I claim that object is the subject, that is the problem. That is the mistake. That is the wrong perception. By mistake, claiming objects as conscious subject. I'm making it very clear. by mistake, by mistake, I say I experience the monitor. Remove the monitor, experience still remains. And that experience is the objectless consciousness. I am angry, remove the anger, consciousness still there. It is not going anywhere. And that consciousness is I am. That is real self. That is of the nature of peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. Now I am not able to move my hand. So I converted the object of my right hand as my subjective experience. The problem is there. But why I'm not able to reflect on it? Why I'm not able to reflect? I'm not able to reflect because my mind is impure. What is the way? The self-inquiry. Self-inquiry guides back from the false identification with objects to pure subjectivity. So I start dropping, oh, this is what is happening. I told you the sun reflects in a dirty pond. My mind is crazy, so it gives you the illusion of dirtiness, illusion of anger, illusion of who being poor. Master says I have to develop a true knowledge to overcome that ignorance, obscuring the consciousness. One is objective and other is subjective, that is totally independent. Let us make it little simpler. The sun reflects on the rippling waves, oceans, rivers, creating countless shifting reflections. Do you agree? Say yes. You have shifted your faith from your false perception now to the right perception. That is the faith we need. We don't need a blind faith. As such, there is no blind faith. Similarly, the consciousness reflects in constantly changing forms. I'm repeating again. Similarly, consciousness reflects in constantly changing forms. How? By thoughts, by emotions, by perceptions. So, what is the result? It gives me an illusion of motion. But consciousness is one. I'm recording the audio in an audio interface and I see it is constantly moving and creating a thought pattern, which I'm going to send to you. It gives me an illusion of motion. It also gives me an illusion of stability. The static reflection of the sun in a still pot water, is similar to the consciousness reflecting in the solid forms like rocks, mountain. My body is steady at this moment, your body is steady. You are listening with apt attention. It gives me the illusion of stability. So it's illusion of motion, illusion of stability. Consciousness is not changing. How can the consciousness cannot change? The sunlight doesn't change. As sun reflects in a dirty pond, I just explained you, and the clean water part, consciousness reflects in a pure mind. It gives you not only a faith, but an experience and understanding that I am what I am. But if it is reflecting in a rajasic mind, we see the active mind, it gives you the illusion of motion. And if it gives you, if it reflects on say, the inertia, laziness, it claims that I'm lazy. As such, there is no laziness. There is no activity. In that consciousness, nothing is happening. In the sunlight, nothing is happening, whether you drive the car or you keep the car at one place. It is the mind. It is the reflection. Nothing happens to the consciousness. Why we want to arrive at that conclusion? Because I'm that consciousness. Consciousness reflects, shaped by reflecting objects and its form, whether it's a dog or a building or a plant or a computer. The sun reflection moves as the pot moves, but the sun does not move. The life does not move. The sun reflection moves as other things move. One consciousness lighting up the entire world outside. Whether the world is moving or in the state of inertia, but it does not mean that consciousness gives me an illusion of stability, illusion of emotion, but that consciousness does not. It is only the reflection that is moving. Impure mind cannot sustain this state. Very clear. Make it very clear. If you have an impure, that is what happens after an intellectual understanding. What happens? You know it already. Sam is scratching his head. Why my head? You keep that consciousness. No, it is just the opposite. Head is the consciousness. No, head is an object. So that is why we say I can understand intellectually, then intellectual paralysis takes place after a few hours. Then comes the emotional dependence. And then what happens? What happens? Then I remember what a great knowledge. I forgot. And it dissolves into the presence of illusion, mistaken identity, identification, and we are lost. We go back to the ignorance again. Master says continuous, consistent listening and learning, contemplation and reflection, plus the practice on Mondays and Thursdays will help us. One of my, you all are my friends, so one of my friend went to the forest recently this week on during Thanksgiving week. What you will do there? Tell me. If your mind is not pure, what you will go there? Your mind will pick up any moment of the laziness or craziness or any thought. So you'll be playing with those thoughts. Nothing is going to happen. I'll share my experiences with him next week. He's going to join me next week. What we are talking. I just explained the metaphor by these examples. Do you remember the metaphor? The infinite, boundless space that has no division. This is the first step of the metaphor. This represents the singular, undivided consciousness. In the second part of the metaphor, the master says, the enclosed space within the pot. That represents the individual consciousness, reflected in the body, mind. So enclosed space, and then the water in that space. Water in that space is that I'm lazy, I'm crazy, I'm husband, I'm wife, I'm daughter, I'm this and that. Whether you say the illusion of stability or illusion of motion, both are there in that water. And in that water also, it reflects the entire cloud space, which is known as the entire world. So the master wants to arrive at an understanding and a conclusion that there are no four consciousnesses. We talk about the world consciousness, individual consciousness. No, there is only one consciousness. There is only one reality. No, but I am here. You are there. That is what I am talking. That is what I discussed just now. Reflection is there. Reflection is here. But consciousness is only one. The light is only one. The endless space that contains all the galaxies in the universe, no limit or boundaries to this space. The same thing is the consciousness is no boundaries. The pervasive space that exists both within and without all manifestations. What it means? It means the light continues to be there, whether I remove all the computers, whether I go out of the room or I return. Nothing happens to the light. Same thing, nothing happens to the consciousness. Whether you claim I'm angry, upset, duality, I married and I divorced, nothing happens to that consciousness. Then he talked about the enclosed space. Again, I'm explaining in a different way. So again, so now he's talking about the enclosed space, the finite space contained within a clay pot. The walls of the pot limit and enclose the space within. The walls of the body, mind, preferences, prejudices, wrong notions enclose the space within. But the space inside the body, that part, this part, is still the same. So I'm looking at the surface, I'm not looking deeper inside. And then comes the water space, the space reflected in the water. First, there is a part space, mind, purest form. But now you have put the water. So that water has to do either with some activity or it just want to live in the state of inertia. Both are reflections. So that reflection means I am in stress, I have lot of problem, I have challenges, and blame and complain, reaction, all is happening. But the part space, nothing happens to the part space. And in that space, we reflect the entire world. So that is what the master says, cloud space. Consciousness is one. There is no change. We have to come back to the same illusion. What is the difference between the object of knowledge and subject of knowledge? I'm looking at you, object of knowledge. And if I say I am looking at, who is looking at you, that is the subject of knowledge. That is the knower. An object of knowledge is always the known. Known is always separate from me and different from me. Mouse is known in the presence of the light. Light is always separate from the mouse. Computer is known in the presence of the light. Computer is always separate from the light. Light is totally independent. Whether you bring the mouse or TV or one Michael or David or Jerry or Stephen, nothing happens to that consciousness. I have to contemplate and reflect it again and again and again until my faith shifts from the objective to the subjective. So when it shifts to the subject, I find there is only one consciousness. Not intellectually. Yes, we use the intellect plus the faith. We are shifting. That is why I started with the faith. I have not to create and separate faith. I have to shift that faith which supports ego, that divides me, to a shift. I gave an example of what example I gave you. Yeah. Shifting, a criminal shifting his faith to earn by stealing to a shift in earning honestly. I am not saying believe me, have faith in me. No way. You don't need that. If someone says in the journey of the Eastern wisdom, have faith in me, better to leave that teacher. But in the beginning, we normally talk about it, If you don't have faith in me, then you will not progress. We say in the beginning, those who are totally non-seekers. But that is, we are playing with their mind to help them. There is only one consciousness. My friends, is knowledge of different objects the same or different? Now answer this question. Is knowledge of different objects. The same knowledge of the table seems different from that of a mouse. The table and that mouse is there. But the consciousness in which this knowledge appears is the same. Did you understand? Let me make it simple. Knowledge, knowledge of the mouse, knowledge of the monitor, knowledge of you all seems different. But the consciousness in which, but the light in which this knowledge is taking place is the same. Do you see that? Knowledge, where the knowledge is taking place, it is happening in the consciousness. Where does the knowledge of the object takes place? It takes place in the subject. It cannot take place in the object. The book does not know itself. This knowledge happens in your consciousness. This knowledge of the mouse is happening in your consciousness, observing the knowledge. When I say the knowledge of the Sam is happening in this consciousness, inside, observing the Sam, observing the Stephen, observing the Ashok. It is not happening there. It is known as awakening. Now, I have reminded this millions of times to my mind, but the reminder will not work. Why the reminder will not work? Mind is impure, distracted. Impurity and the distraction. Objects are known as subjects. So I picked up the topic that will clarify further last week, perhaps. Yeah, last week, yes. Why is the knowledge of home is wrong? Knowledge of Sam is wrong. No, Sam is not wrong. Knowledge of Sam is wrong. Because knowledge does not become a property of the Sam or the home. Knowledge of mouse is wrong because knowledge cannot become the property of the mouse. Where the consciousness is, where there the knowledge is, the consciousness is inside here. The home remains an inert object while the consciousness knowing it is the true subject. So it means that proves that I am the consciousness. I am the real self. I am of the nature of peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. Finished. How is the experience of many objects? Ask another question. I'm just forming the questions. How is the experience of many objects? The seeker is challenging. Seeker should ask great questions. We should not ask the stupid questions. So how is experience of many objects incomplete? My mind is distracted on 10 objects outside. I miss the unity of the consciousness in which they appear. Did you get an answer? I know watch, I know monitor, I know Samir, I know Dennis, I know the screen, I know the light. I. What is this I? Consciousness. When I focus on so many objects, I miss the unity of the consciousness in which they appear. That is what I have been saying. A criminal shifting his focus from stealing to honest earning. I'm not saying that you have should have a faith. You should shift your faith for something higher. During meditation, no, I have a pain, lot of pain in the meditation. So your focus was there. Think of it. How does consciousness reflects in many objects? I'm trying to remove all the doubts. Like one sun reflecting in different parts of water. Simple. How one consciousness reflecting on everyone who is present in this session. Like one sun reflecting in different parts of water, different parts, different name in the form. Now, when I say, Stephen, are you listening? So I'm just talking about the name in the form. Same thing with the sun. Same thing with the consciousness. Think, understand that clearly. Consciousness. Do I want to? Yes, that is why Master says it demands a repetition, consistent listening and learning without fail, with commitment, followed by the practice. So let me repeat what I said. The sun reflects in a dirty water, a large lake, at any shining silver vessel, an opaque mug. The reflections are different, but the light of the sun is the same. Consciousness reflects in animals, in the humans, in the plants, in the rocks. The manifestation are different, but the illuminating consciousness is one. Consciousness reflecting on the different names and the forms, the people who are present here. Our reflection is different. Reflection comes from the mind. Behind that reflection, consciousness is one. So because of the reflection, I say this guy is good, this guy is bad, this guy I like, this guy not. Without the sun, reflection cannot appear. Without consciousness, objects are unknown. Consciousness is not there. How can I recognize any object? One object or many objects? So whether the consciousness reflects in a butterfly or in a galaxy, or an awake mind or a dreaming mind, the consciousness remains the same. It does not change. So when I shift my faith from outside world to the inside world, then I contemplate and reflect. I recognize the limitations of the reason and the intellect, and then I am settled into that consciousness, which is I am. And then only I recognize I am of the nature of peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. That's what I have been saying. Satyoham. I am the truth. Bodhoham. I am pure awareness. Gyanoham, I am the wisdom. Premoham, I am the love. From there, once I shift my, if I say shift my, for the sake of understanding, shift my consciousness from outside to inside, then I recognize I am consciousness. First step in the higher journey. And the second step, because now I want to know what is the nature of this consciousness. That is another journey. That is another journey altogether. So when we drop claiming objects as subjects, drop, purity of the mind takes place. So I explain it by shifting your faith, not creating a faith, not developing a faith, shifting. Normally, but in a language, we need to talk about it. No, you should have faith, then only. But here we are talking to the higher level of the seekers. We are habituated to identify with the body and the mind complex and mistake it as our self. Criminal example. Shifting your faith around the body and the mind to close your eyes. Eyes are closed. Eyes are closed. Being comfortable. Being comfortable. Pick up the objects that I have just spoken by saying being comfortable. So obviously the mind reflected consciousness. Mind is a reflected consciousness. It becomes aware of the body. Body is an object, but knowledge is taking place inside. Are you living into that state? In a mode of contemplation and reflection? If that is so being comfortable helps you realize the emptiness, mindfulness state of the mind. So easy, yes, here and now. But then we go really in a different way. What we say, being comfortable. Now you see that what I have been using, being comfortable and being carefree from the first session until now. But the knowledge, perspective is totally different of being comfortable here than in other sessions that you might have attended. Being comfortable, what you're doing. And again, understand what is the shifting of faith in a very simple way. So let us have where the faith is you have. So I'm looking at the neck joint. I'm aware of it. Then I experience what I experience. I experience the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Yes, yes, I have understood it. So instead of a fade on the shoulder joints, that fade is directed inside. Fade is that fade on something objectless, on the consciousness who claims, I know the shoulder joint. Fade shifts again inside, then on the experience of sensation, comfort, and steadiness. You see, shifting. So now that shift not only drops the shoulder joints as an object of knowledge, but it drops all the objects and it becomes aware where the knowledge is happening. What that brings in, every experience is empty, objectless. No, no. I experience you are talking. That is the problem is. So still your focus is on me as an object. And what I'm saying, shift your faith from me as an object inside to one who is the knower of this object. Knower of that object is nothing but the consciousness. Watching a movie on a television, and I used to do it. I did it maybe, I would say, millions of times. Watching a movie, TV screen, both are there. Movie is going on, TV screen is there. Both are present all the time. What I'm saying, shift your fade from the movie to the TV screen that remains unchanged, where the movie is taking place. Screen remains unchanged while the objects keep moving. The movie screen allows the projection. Again, I'm using to clear your head. Movie screen allows the projection of an endless number of events, plots in that movie, different stories, characters, scenes changing, but the screen remains the same. That is what we have discussed in this session. To put it other way, the screen is unaffected by the dramatic, horror, romantic, porn movies, Violent scene, violent scene, does it harm the screen? Romantic scene makes the screen soft. Being comfortable. That is the meaning of being comfortable. We need not to go follow. Even the second step means the again I'm engaged in object. And from one object, then you have variety of objects, the chain reaction. And then I have a fade more on the objects then. And then what I'm saying, you are shifting your fade. You are not developing a fade. Like the screen, the consciousness remains untouched by the changing circumstances, events, plots, roles, even including the joy and the sorrow. No, just pick up the breath also. Just look at the object that is the breath is going in and out. But you are 100% clear, aware that this object is the breath. And if you succeed in preventing the mind to make this breath as your breath or object as a subject, how? By shifting. You're shifting your fade on the screen inside, which has no characteristics of a movie, which has no characteristics of the activities that we perform, or even sitting still. But what happens because of the ignorance? It takes on the character of a projected images. Objects become the subject, and then I say I have lot of stress, I'm unhappy or happy, I'm poor or rich, I'm good or bad. A long list that never comes to an end, years after years. That is known as the bondage. That is known as the suffering. Consciousness provides the blank, passive, unmodified backdrop on which the drama of the body and the mind continues. They get projected. That is the only true subject. Like the screen permitting any movie, horror, porn, good, bad movie, whatever it is, without any change. That consciousness I am. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand, your mind on the left hand. Lift your both the hands, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. Share your experiences. And if you have any question, we'll take up. How are you, Stephen?
Thank you, sir. Um, love Saturdays. Last Saturday, I didn't attend the session, but spent a lot of time listening over and over again because you introduced this sunlight and consciousness. Well, we've been talking about it for a while, but more of a direct metaphor with it. And but something you said last week of how knowledge reveals itself, and I was very focused on that and not understanding that comparison between consciousness and the sunlight. But
Mhm.
today, the knowledge revealed itself, and the realization is that each one of us is in a different location in all different parts of the world, and the sun is the same, and we see it differently, and in the different reflections where whichever way we are, and you can talk about it from the rocks and the objects and the mountains and whatever it is. And today I was able to connect that consciousness, like the sunlight,
Yeah,
is always the same, and
always.
it's just one, and it's all that we do individually that create the reflections, um, to distort the consciousness when in fact it is just purely one, and it is of the nature of peace, love, happiness, truth, and wisdom. So it was great. Thank you. And
Yeah,
as far as my meditation goes, it was just completely quiet, settled, and very nice. So thanks.
beautiful. You rightly understood. Yeah, that's why we say consistent learning and listening helps us to reach to that state. How are you, Brandy?
I'm good, thanks. Good morning. I went into the meditation with the carried the clean pot, dirty pot, but I really like the screen in the movie. So in short, my takeaways stick with the screen, not the movies, not the stories.
Yeah. Another story, including I'm not the anxiety, I'm not the stress, I'm not happy, I'm not unhappy. They are all reflections. Beautiful. That's beautiful, Brandy. How are you, Dennis?
Uh, Thank you. Great session in the sense that it gives a lot of food to the mind and sets my neurons into motion to takes my intellect to its limits. But I have the uh, not a question, but just want to clarify if I understood one of the things that you said. That you said that all experiences are objectless. Uh, do, does that mean that the experience is actually one, and what makes them appear as many is our mind that
Yeah.
colors them?
Yeah.
So it is the same as when you say that the consciousness is reflected by our mind,
Yeah.
and that reflection makes experiences appear as if they are different, but in fact it is one experience,
Yes.
one knowledge.
You are Dennis, and she is Brandy. Who's is saying this? Mind. In whose presence? In the presence of the consciousness. Remove the consciousness. Do I have an experience of Brandy and Dennis? No. The variety of experiences pertaining to the objects comes from the mind, and I take it as subject. There comes the problem. Now I have a different experience with the Brandy and as compared to the Dennis. Oh, then this I is identified. I is being identified. And I made the object as a subject. Oh, and then I'm into ignorance. That is what happens, my friend. It is here and now. Where is, oh, David is here. There is no, uh, I don't see him. David, you are there? Because I didn't see the David. David, are you there? So I did it right. So how are you, Terry?
Um, Good. I just um, was very deeply listening. I don't have any questions.
Good, good. You don't have any thoughts. Obviously, deep listening also has one impact because then we enter into the state of the thoughtlessness. That is very good. Good way to put it. How are you, Sam?
Good. I'm just reminded always that the real self it's always there. There's no resistance. There's no you don't have to think about it. If you're thinking about it, it's not it, right?
Yeah.
If you're thinking about it, it's not it. You're creating conflict. So in my latest experiences and in the session today, I'm reminded of that.
Beautiful. That's, the moment any thought is also an object. It is an object. So when we are able to separate it, then we are there in that state. How are you, Vaibhav?
Thank you, sir. Sir, practice was good. It's like that the consciousness is always very clean. It will remain clean. It's just that object will come and it will make it impure. And and objects keep on changing. So that impurity keeps on coming. But if I remember that my consciousness is always clean, I can give a space between these two and I will always be calm.
Yes, because the objects, when you say objects make it impure, so object is subjectified. The object becomes subject. I am poor. I am angry. I am upset. I am unhappy. So every object is subjectified. But everything is reflected in the mind. It's only a reflection. So beautiful. That is another way. How are you, Ashok?
Thank you, sir. I am good, and meditation was very good.
Good.
I'm in peace and calm. Thank you.
Good. So please, consistent listening and learning, contemplation and reflection, if it puts you into that state of objectless, mind will have an object. Consciousness, even if it has an object, it remains, it is because of the presence of the mind. Because of the presence of the movie, you have the plot and event and actor and actresses. With the screen, nothing happens to the screen. Very good. Thank you very much. And that is all for today. We will meet again. Thank you, sir. And
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Namaste, everyone.
thank you.
Namaste, everyone.
Namaste.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.